Welcome to the Conscious Radio Network. Become enlightened, have fun, and tell all your friends and family to share with everyone they know. You can watch us on YouTube and Rumble while following us on Facebook, or find us on X, Instagram, and TikTok. Our podcasts can be found on Libsyn, iHeart, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and more. Most of all, remember to go to our official website at consciousradionetwork.com for past episodes, future shows, and scheduling. We also want to welcome our international audience. Don't stop now. Enjoy the community. Subscribe or follow today.
This is the Conscious Radio Network.
Good day, everybody, wherever you might be on the spaceship we call Earth. Welcome to Conscious Radio Network's The Seance Podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, please click like, subscribe, comment, and also don't forget to follow wherever you listen to your podcasts. There we go. Something always happens with my speech on every show. I don't know what happens, but anywho, welcome today. Our guest today is Tommy A. Kilpatrick, a retired American now living in the Philippines, where he teaches sustainable farming and free health clinics. With a background in abnormal psychology and accounting, Tommy's journey includes a vow of poverty, homelessness by choice, and a battle against $85,000 in alleged credit card debt. After suing his banks in federal court, he won a surprising victory that challenges how we think about debt today. Let's welcome to the show, Tommy Kilpatrick.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Okay. Yeah, I'm really intrigued with this vow of poverty and homelessness by choice. Describe that. How did you get led down this choice?
About 13 years ago, the wife said, "Get out and take the dog with you." So
Oh man!
it was a great
and the dog
opportunity.
Man, that sucks.
Take the dog with you. And I'm not really a pet person, so yes, it was a neighbor's dog that was going to be taken back to the shelter, and I said, "No one's going to adopt a 7-year-old dog, so I'll take it." It worked out that she was there for me, and I was there for her, so it worked out pretty great. So she's now resting in peace on the farm back in Maine. That's where we ended up for a while. Yeah. So then I took that vow of poverty as an opportunity to leave everything behind. I left all my wealth behind. I did have some money from a business that I closed out. And then my first stop was in Sedona, where I met up with an evangelical family, and I saw the power of prayer. So I walk in faith of God. And I bought a motor home, and I stayed there for a year, and I was there. They had a home bakery. So I learned how to be a baker. And I helped them make money, but I took that vow of poverty. So when I was leaving, I gave them my motor home. I gave them all my money, and I was leaving in a car, and they had me an envelope, which was some money. So
Wow.
I used that for, a couple of months. And I ended up on a farm in Connecticut. And when I had met up with this nice young lady with her 2-year-old, and she made me an offer I couldn't refuse. So we traveled to Maine. I left him all my money. And so I always end up emptying my pockets out wherever I end up at, and God fills my pockets back up again. So that's my story.
Wow. Yeah, it's the abundance. It's like at the point you don't really need it. You need a little bit of it here and there. I would assume too, you were used to or working on the point of bartering. You trade one trade for the other, or an item for an item, or a trade for a trade, or a gift for a gift, and stuff like that's pretty common.
Yeah. I never took charity. People would offer me to put me up in a hotel. I said, no, it'll work out. So it always did. And so I always did something for them. It was always like a barter, like you said. And it reminded me when you were talking about my son. He's 37 now. And when he was in preschool, there was a neighbor that had a little preschool at her house. I stopped by and saw what was happening. And she had the kids all sitting in a circle, and they were passing 1 penny around. And then all of a sudden there was 2 pennies, 3 pennies, a handful of pennies, and more pennies than they could handle. They were laughing, giggling, or lifting up the pennies, passing to the next one, because she was entering more pennies as they passed the pennies around. Then she told them all to stop and hold up 1 penny and hold it. And then she said, how many pennies do you have? And they said, I have one. She says, that's the story. If you pass the penny, you get many. If you hold the penny, you don't get any. So the whole point of this is to pass the penny. It's just a flow of energy. It's stored up energy that I can pass to another person and make their life better. That's the whole point of this, is somehow to improve someone else's life. And somehow, some way, you'll be enriched later on as you keep moving along there.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing, two, money. And just the words that we use every day, like, for instance, currency. Currency, look at the word in and of itself. Current, energy, electricity, or just energy, current. It's a flowing of current. But people don't see it that way.
Where do you put your money? In banks. The bank of the river is directing the flow of the currency. Yeah. So it was very appropriately.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of these hidden facts out there that people need to learn or get an idea of about the banks, what they can and can't do, what we need to understand about the currency. And yeah, let's start with
Let's
the biggest,
dive in.
especially debt.
Sure.
Let's start at the debt portion of it.
Oh, yeah. My story helps describe what happened. Is that I am an author and I wrote a book on health and healing. In about 2004, I was given a infomercial contract, but I needed to be test marketed for about 6 months on radio. So it had to be available for radio interviews. And I used my 3 credit cards to live on. And I ran up about 85,000, which was not a big deal because I was promised 110,000 a month. So in 1 month once we turned the audio into a video, this was money coming in. So I didn't worry about that at all. Then one of the talents, he got in trouble with the FTC and he made some claims in his weight loss book that wasn't true. So they came down hard on the company, and the company then canceled all the new talents. So I was canceled. So I was left with $85,000 of credit card debt.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So not only the prospect of actually making more money or something like that would be the great idea that we would have, I'd be a millionaire, but that didn't work out. So a little depression there. Then one morning I woke up thinking about my dad. He's a CPA and was studying to be a CPA. And I realized the bank does not have an invoice. And then I have a memory. I remember my accounting class, we read a book called Modern Money Mechanics. And on page 6, it says right there that banks accept your promissory note in exchange for writing numbers in your free checking account. And that's how they create this money, which we know is fiat. So we can talk about that too. And then my father was an attorney and a judge, and we had long conversations about how fraud undoes all contracts. So use the card, you have to follow their terms and conditions. That's not true when they have fraud. With his help, and I did it by myself, I filed 3 federal lawsuits against the banks in Los Angeles court. And so things were going on pretty good. We were coming up with a deposition, which means that the bank was going to send one of their employees to my office. And I was going to ask them all these questions and ask them for the evidence of a invoice or a promissory note and an affidavit. Someone's got to swear out that I have debt. Then that means that on the penalty of perjury, they would be liable to jail time or a fine. All of a sudden, I got called into court. My father said, that's very weird. Judges don't call you into court. They didn't call the defendants, just me. So he said, Mr. Kilpatrick, do you have a credit card? Let me start at the beginning. Oh, we'll start at the beginning a little later. Do you have a credit card? I'll start off as a gift card. A gift card, because he read my pleading. I explained the crime the bank has been doing and still doing. So they said, pull your card out. So I pull my card out. He says, read there what it says. It's credit card. You're an idiot. Get out of here. So he dismissed all 3 cases. So there I was, back to square one, going to get sued. How am I going to have the money? They're going to do judgment against me. There's no defense. So I then looked at my credit report about a month later, and all 3 banks were gone off my credit report. So explain that to me. So a friend of mine had a charity that was dormant, and she gave it to me, and I revamped it into credit repair. And many of the people I helped would also have some alleged bank-issued alleged credit card debt. So I would write a letter to the bank, and they would take it off. If they didn't, I'd send it to the credit reporting agency, making the statement that it's a fraud. And by law, they had to take it off the credit report. So I helped about 1,000 people or so in about a 7-year period.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, let me just say, don't believe me. I'm a doubting Thomas. I want you to doubt this. I want your audience to doubt this. And don't believe a word I'm saying, okay? I have sent you some show notes, and there's links. There's 3 links, and all you do is verify what I'm saying and send this podcast to your CPA or anyone who's had one class of accounting, all right? And they'll say, I've never heard of this, but yeah, that guy. So law is language and language is law. So if you say you have credit card debt, you got it. There's nothing I can do for you. But if you add the word allege, now we can say we have alleged credit card debt. Now puts a burden on the bank to prove that there's actually a debt.
Okay.
So we see on TV a bank robbery, and we always say alleged. That's all I'm asking you to do. Oh, let me ask you a question. Is it possible you, your audience, and me too have been lied to, indoctrinated, and brainwashed? Is it possible?
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Allegedly. And we know a lie is a lie, but what happens if it's told generationally? Here you go, Paul. This is a credit card. The bank gives you this loan. It's called revolving credit. And if you don't pay it, they will take you to court and they'll win. There's no defense. Everybody knows this. If you don't question that, you're brainwashed. So I don't do that to insult your audience or me too. It's just that to question. If you're questioning it, then you're not brainwashed. So now we dive into it. So this is not a get out of debt scheme. All right. So this only works on one particular situation, okay? What's the situation? There is a true credit card, okay? I'm not saying all credit cards can be eliminated or the debt removed and stuff like that. No. Let's say you need tires and you go to a tire store and you find out, oh my gosh, I don't have the money. They say, you know what, Paul? Just put your name here, enter it into our in-store credit card application online and see what happens. You're approved. Fantastic. You drive away and you have tires in your car. You didn't pay for those tires. Now, they have a statement at the end of the month. They send it to you, which is true. They have an outstanding unpaid invoice, which is true. You owe the money, Paul. You have to pay that credit card. Now, how do you know if a true credit card is a true credit card? Look at Walmart, let's say Amazon, any department store. Look on the back of the card. If it says issued by Bank of America, Citibank, Fargo, Bank of London, Bank of Tokyo, Bank of India, that is a phony card. I am a victim's right advocate. You have been lied to, indoctrinated, and brainwashed to think that a bank-issued credit card is a debt. It's not a debt, is what I'm here to say to you.
Wow. Definitely. For those who are going to be listening and watching this, yeah.
It takes a little while. It's all new information.
Yeah.
So a mind is like a parachute. It only works when it's open. So all I ask you to do is open your mind and take you through what happened. If you use the words of the criminal, you'll never win the argument. You have to start with the truth. And here's what the truth is, that everything is based on an invoice. You don't have the experience maybe I have had. When I was studying to be a CPA, I didn't make it all the way through. I've done the work of a CPA, but I don't have the credential. My first job as an accountant, the CFO, which is a CPA, came up to my desk and put a finger in my face and said, if you pay from a statement, I'm going to fire you. And then he explained that his owners always are making deals, so don't believe in these statements that come through. And see the invoice here? As a department head okays it. So you only pay from an approved invoice, but you never pay from a statement. So that's the whole thing. Is think back about 100, 200 years ago, we went to the general store and said, hey, Charlie, I need 5 pounds of flour, a pound of sugar, and my crops are coming and I'll pay you. Oh, yeah, we'll take care of it later. So they have an invoice. You don't say to Charlie, hey, Charlie, can I borrow $10,000? What do you think I am, a bank? So you go to the bank. So we have to initially begin with our understanding is that banks are only involved in loans. They didn't sell you tires. They don't come out to your house to do a plumbing job. So the bank does not have an outstanding unpaid invoice. Once you establish that fact, they cannot issue a credit card. It's not possible for them to be a merchant, to sell you products or give you a service, that they then have an outstanding unpaid invoice. So that's basically the difference between a store credit card that you owe the money on and a bank issue, and that's where you don't. It's not a debt.
Got it. Yeah, it's.
But then you it's a loan. Okay, let's go that direction. See how they're trying to trick on you? They're making it sound like they have a debt and you owe it because they paid these other people. And so now you owe their invoice. So let's start from the very beginning here. If you don't have any money and you go into a bank, you expect to come out with money. Maybe not with a gun, but illegally would be a loan. So let me ask you a question there, Paul. If you go to a bank and you apply for a loan and you're turned down, do you still get the loan? No, you don't get the loan, you're turned down. But if you are approved, and that's the important word that most people don't know, application means a request. So when you request a loan, they approve you, then you go into the bank and you fill out loan documents. Don't you remember all those pages? You first of all have to prove you have an income. Because what happens if the bank is brought into court? The judge say, you're loaning money to people who don't even have an income? That's predatory. So you have to document and prove you have an income, because how are you going to pay the loan back?
Yeah.
Then the second is you have to have collateral. So this does not work for an auto loan. It doesn't work for a home loan. It doesn't work for a personal loan. You put your yacht up for collateral, because that's the only way the bank can legally take something from you without going to court. They just take your car, right? They foreclose on your house and they sell it. Now, if they come up short, that's their problem. If they come up long, they don't get to keep the money. They got to give you the difference back. Okay. So that's what banks do. They're all about loans. So you also have to have a credit report, and your credit score determines your interest rate. And the last thing you sign is a promissory note, a promise to pay it back. Now you have the ability for the Federal Reserve to write numbers into a free checking account. But that didn't happen with a bank-issued alleged credit card. There was no verification. You didn't have to prove anything. There was no verification of your employment or your income. You didn't put up any collateral. And certainly your credit score determined how much they were going to give you, is the important word here. And you did not sign a promissory note. So it's not possible that the bank legally could have broken the law then, because the federal banking regulations require them to have a promissory note. Because then how do you create those fiat numbers in your checking account? That didn't happen. And then again, we go back to fraud under all contracts. So you do not have a contractual agreement with the bank.
Wow. So let's get into the hold on. Let me bring up your website here for a second here. That way, so I don't forget about it. There we go. So for those who want to reach out to you, get some information, because you do have a book, and I'll bring that up shortly right after this, where can they find you?
Tommy A. Kilpatrick on Facebook is the easiest way to find me. Also in the show notes, they'll have my website there, and also an email. And I offer a free 15-minute conversation, and I'm able to help you. And the other one is, if you do that, I'll give you my book, Forgive and Forget How to Nuke Your Credit Card Debt, for free. So contact me and I give you the books. All I want to do is help you. And I see myself as a victim's right advocate. And for most people, I find the money. I talked to one podcaster a couple of weeks ago, and I found him $20,000. He didn't know he had that money coming to him. And so another podcaster was sued after our talk. He contacted me like a few days later, and he said, I've been sued by Citibank for $3,300. What do I do? And I said, what we do is need more time, because we're going to respond to this. So write a letter to the judge and say, I need more time to respond to this. I just want 30 more days, and I'm trying to find an attorney. We're not going to find an attorney, but they love that. The judges are all part of a brotherhood. Everybody gets paid. Yay. So then we need to do some legal research, which is okay. And we're going to file a counter complaint. A counter complaint? Yes. Yes, we can file a counter complaint about the fraud, bring in all the discovery, and an injunction. Most people have no idea what I'm talking about, but now they do. Trump does one thing, they run into court, they file an injunction, everything stops. Same thing that we will do, that if they get sued, if the bank sues us, which they don't, but if they did, that's what we show them, the injunction. They're going to bring to the judge a certified copy of the outstanding unpaid invoice, which they don't have, a certified copy of the promissory note, which they don't have, and we ask for an affidavit of debt. Someone inside the bank is going to swear in a Bible with the penalty of perjury that they have the evidence and they know that we have a debt as one to swear that in court. If they don't have that, they're now have an injunction. They're in contempt of court and nothing happens. So once the bank sees this brick, they're going, this is going to run 20, 30, 40,000 just to start. That's just a start. And they have no way to legally win because the crime, they are criminals. And I'm pointing it out to them.
Jeez. Yeah. And for those who are watching, I got the picture of the book up. And where can they find the book?
On Amazon, just type my name up. It's the only name that has that book to it. So Forgive and Forget, How to Nuke Your Credit Card Debt. And you're not asking to be forgiven by the bank. The bank is asking you to forgive them for their crime. So that's the best step. First step forward is forgive is the greatest gift of giving. So forgive the bank for their criminal activity and then forget about it because all you got to do is write that letter. So let me explain to you the story. Okay. This is the truth. And this is what happened. And banks advertise, right? So years ago, they had purchased wall clocks and toasters and had them in the bank. Your mom, Paul's mom, walked into a bank and said, Mrs.
Meccas.
It's your lucky day. If you open an account today, you'll get a free toaster. She says, I already have an account. Doesn't matter. Open another one. So she brings the toaster home. Your dad says, where'd the toaster come from? The bank gave it to me. Gave it to you? Why would they do that? To open an account. What'd it cost you? Nothing. Everybody's happy. Then I saw one time an ad in a paper that said, come into our bank and deposit $25 and we'll match it in 90 days. So what did I do? I took my $25, opened up a savings account, waited 91 days, went into the bank, took out my 25 and the bank's 25, and they happily gave it to me. And I walked out and I closed the account. Now, I didn't use a gun. So did I do something illegal? Did I rip off the bank? Let me ask you a question, Paul. Did I do something immoral by doing that? You could say yes. Most people say no. Okay. You see, the important thing is they offered it to me. It's the same thing when Capital One gives you, and it's the important word, gives you a $500 bank issued alleged credit card that I call a gift card. When something comes in the mail, you didn't even ask for it. You didn't apply, pre-approved, here's your card. Great. Go ahead and use it and follow those terms and conditions. Okay. What did you do with your $500 gift card? Let me ask you a question now. What would you like to buy for $500 right now? What would be a nice thing to buy?
Why not another TV?
Great thing. So you go to an electronics store, you go to a TV store, and you buy this TV. You're walking out, and a guy at the door said, wait a second, did you pay for that? And you have a receipt. So that shows that you own that TV, right? But you didn't pay for it, right? So somebody paid that store that night or the next day to let you walk out with a $500 TV and to say to everybody that you own it. Who paid? Who paid that store that night or the next day?
The bank.
The bank. Where did the bank get the money? They came from their advertising budget. It's no different than them having a TV in the store in their bank and saying, if you open an account today, we'll give you this TV. You go, great. What's going to cost? Cost nothing. So you walk out with a gift. Now, here's the question. Are you going to get a statement from that store in 30 days about an outstanding unpaid invoice? No. What you're going to get is a statement from your bank issued alleged credit card, and it makes it look like it's a bill. That's where part of the fraud also involved in this. So when you have a normal checking account, you get a statement every month. Is that a bill? No, it shows your beginning balance, your deposits, what you paid, and your checks, your debits, and your other fees, and then you have an ending balance. It's the exact same thing with your bank issued alleged credit card statement. But you're a good person, you're a moral person, you've been lied to, you've been indoctrinated by the whole system, and you've been brainwashed. You didn't even question it. You wrote a check out from your bank in your state to the Bank of America. Now, isn't that the first time Bank of America has ever seen your money? Think about it. A card from Bank of America arrives, didn't even approve, didn't even ask for it, you're pre-approved. Okay. So you go and use it, then you get a statement, you think it's a bill, you write a check out, you mail it off, and you think you paid for your bill. Isn't that the first time Bank of America has ever seen your money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So back to what banks are. Banks are about loans. So when you have no money and you go into a bank, you come out with money from a loan. If you take money and put it into a bank, that's a loan to the bank. And that is in my first link in the show notes, is that's what banks do. Banks do not take deposits. And of course, they don't take deposits of money and loan it out to somebody else. And the second show link is the book for modern money mechanics from the Federal Reserve. And then it mocks you. It says right there, it says, of course we don't take the partner's money and loan it out to, we wouldn't have enough. So the whole point is this, to get you to be a customer. Because what do they have as a customer? Someone who pays $23.04 every month. Look it up yourself. I did this 2 months ago. What does the average person pay on a credit card fee? It comes up to be $23.04. So think about it. Bank of America has 1 million cardholders. They're bringing in $23 million a month.
Whoa.
That's about 1/4 of their profits. And what the scam is, they're getting you to pay for a free checking account. That's what it is. So let's say you wrote that check to Bank of America, right? And this is a loan to the bank. You have loaned $500 to the bank. As you spend the money, it goes down. And as you send them money, it goes back up. Every purchase you've made since that first deposit has been with your own money. So it's not a credit card. It starts off as a debit. It starts off as a gift card to get you to be a customer. Then it turns into a debit card because you don't have checks associated with this checking account. And that's how you access your money. There is not $1.3 trillion of credit card debt. It doesn't exist. It's what the banks want you to deposit. Now, you don't have to. So how do you resolve this? You write a letter to the bank, ask them to close your free checking account. It's that simple.
Jeez. I tell you, it's the sleight of hand. It's the brainwash. It's getting people to believe that they're obligated to be part of this system when you're not really. It's
If you don't know you're a victim, then that's why I'm advocating to you, as I can represent you in that sense, get you informed, and then write the letter. But we first have to acknowledge that there's a crime. And how we do that is your credit report is the evidence of a crime. The bank cannot issue a credit card. So what we do is we have that, and then we have to notify the police. You're not going to call the local cops. You're going to say, this is a civil matter. There are policing the banks, the Comptroller of the Currency, the Federal Reserve, the FTC. There's other ones too, and there's 4 or 5 state and local. So we have you fill complaints out, because if you're a victim, what do? Where's your evidence of being a victim? You have applied and told authorities that you have been a victim. So now we have that evidence. We send that to the bank, plus a letter from the CPA that says there isn't any invoice. If there is an invoice, send it. And if it's accurate, we'll agree to pay. We're not trying to get out of a debt. And send us a copy. Since you don't have a promissory note, there never been a loan. And then you have the attorney say, hey, fraud undoes all contracts. There's no contractual agreement you have. All you've got is a free checking account. And in the letter, we ask them to close the account and remove any derogatory items off the credit report and show that now as a closed account by you. If they don't do that in 45 days, we have the evidence to the credit reporting agency, because they have to, by law, remove that you have documented fraudulent actions on your credit report. They have to. And so that thing just automatically gets resolved. So when I sued the banks, and my 3 lines of credit were off my credit, but my score improved. So you can get a credit card after this too. And that's the funny thing. Once I educate you on what the story is, now you have your eyes wide open. So when I had that vow of poverty and I was living on farms, I thought I was going to die there, but shift happens. Make sure you pronounce the F. So
Yeah.
shift happens. And I found myself on the outside. I had to get a credit card to get an airline ticket to the Philippines. And I had to get a rental car, had to use a credit card. So I applied to Capital One and they gave me, that's the important word, they gave me a $500 credit card, even though I had no history, none, and I had no credit score. How to do that? They had me as a previous customer. Oh, okay. But that's one of the banks I sued for $35,000. So the
Oh,
bank wants you as a
man.
customer. So they're going to take your application because they know on average they make $23.04. They're not going to blackball you. They know you're going to screw up somehow. I talked to one podcaster and he's paying $800 a year for his annual fee on one credit card.
What?
$800 for a free checking account. So you don't
Wow.
do that. So you get a card that doesn't have that and it increases your score. So I had no score. So when I got the credit card, it instantly gave me a 525. I went to a small credit union, got a little installment loan. So I do that for 2 years. So there's a history accumulating and that gave me 625. And every month I use 10% of the credit available, which is not. See, if you use the words of the criminal, you'd be sunk. But it's my money. So I take 50%, 10%, so $50. I spend something on $50 every month, and I only buy it if I have the money because I never want to be late. Because if you're late, it messes your score up. So I'm now over about a 710 right now. I'm trying to get back up to 800, which will just take time. So some more time, I'll be at 800. And so and you run the risk. Let me explain this to you. You are running the risk that if they lower your credit limit, if they close your account, they took all your money. And there's no real way to get this back. So you have to withdraw the money. That's how I found $20,000 for this other podcaster. Before he closes those accounts, he's got to take the $20,000 out. Other people might call it maxing out the card. But again, that's the language of the criminal that prevents you from going forward. The truth is it's your money. Take your money out because this time they don't give you back your money.
Damn. Wow. That's a lot of information. Heck yeah. Do you see any type of transparency developing in the near future where people are going to start waking up and starting to realize how we're being scammed by the banks?
I'm doing the best I can, and I can't believe I'm the only one doing this. Someone has got to, I'm not a genius. Someone has got to know business, and you never pay from a statement, and you've got to know the bank does not, well, go the other direction. Tom, you're crazy. You're an idiot. All right, fine. Disagree with me, which I encourage. So disagree with my facts. So you're going to tell me that the bank has an outstanding unpaid invoice. They do? Okay, fine, pay it. You're going to tell me that the bank loaned you the money. Okay, they have a promissory note. I signed an application. Okay, I can't do anything with you. You've been brainwashed. And then you're going to tell me that they're not going to undo the contract as a fraud. Okay, Paul, I sell you my house and you're making payments to me, but I dumped all this toxic waste in the backyard and you move in, your family's getting sick, you're going to die, and you're going to tell me the court's going to say, oh, no, Paul, you've got to stay there. You've got to pay for 30 years. You've got to live there. No. Disclosure. The bank did not disclose. They're going to charge you on average $23 for a free checking account. That's the fraud. They never loaned you anything because there never was a promissory note. Now, here's something very simple to do. Type up on the internet 1776 to present inflation rate, and you will see in America it's flatlined. And at 33, zoom straight up. What happened? And I believe that the Federal Reserve created the Depression on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
We know they raised the interest rates and they choked off the economy, but we don't go the next step. What happened? And we know what happened is banks closed all around the country, or they were absorbed. So that's when the banks got started with this Federal Reserve back in 1913. They had no power, but it took them about 20 years to then get into position to choke off the economy and then close all the other banks because now they're in control. And that's when they started the fractional banking. That's when they started having you sign a promise to pay it back. And then they can write numbers. They can write any numbers they want in any account. $500, it costs them nothing. $1,000. And think about this here. They got to have the money come back. Right. Remember. So if they make $23 on average, so in about 22, 23 months, they made back their $500. Now they got you paying $23 for the rest of your life, even at 79.9% interest rate. That's the highest I've seen so far.
Whoa.
So what's going to happen to transparency? If I can wake up enough people to then start filing their complaints, all of a sudden the Comptroller of the Currency is going to get 1,000, 2,000, 1,000,000 complaints by customers who have now woken up that they are now victims of the fraud, even though they have pre-applied, got a credit card. That doesn't matter. What matters is the banks are still committing this fraud. And hopefully we can stop this with the transparency is obviously what I'm saying is correct. If not, tell me where I'm not correct. Or the logic. Think through what happened to you and you sent money to the bank. That's a loan. Sorry. It's the truth. But if you deny that, then you keep your brainwashing. I don't mind. I'm here to help the people who have woken up.
Yeah, there seems to be more, especially now here in the state of Florida. I'm not sure if it's going anywhere else in the country, but there's been, this might be a little off topic, but it's about money. It's definitely about money, about income tax. That's illegal. We shouldn't be paying tax on our income. It should be on consumption.
Yeah, if you look at when the income tax was passed, it was for corporations. It was corporate income tax. And the Supreme Court ruled over and over again that it's never to be on someone's wages. So if you are that capital letters corporation, it sounds just like your name and they call your name out, you say, yes, I am. They're your corporation where it's repayment for taxes. I've been around the sovereignty movement since I was 16. I loved it. These people are not paying taxes, and I end up later seeing them go to jail. Oh, they didn't do it right. We got to do it this way. Then I have followed them for several years. I find out they go to jail. And, oh, they didn't do it right. You got to do it this way. So this is what I'm saying is not the sovereignty. It's not bills of exchange and things, crazy things like that. It's just not going to hold up. This is just sound business. So anyone who's been in business knows what I'm talking about is accurate. They just never thought of it that way, and they can do this. Think about this here. Paul, you buy one share of stock of Bank of America. Okay, you're now a shareholder. You now have an interest of them making profits because you're going to get a dividend. It's your bank. It's your money. Let me ask you a question. Would you want your bank to loan out your money to people who can't pay it back?
No.
Would you want your bank to loan out money to people who don't even have an income? Because there's no proof of an income, right? There's people on YouTube that say, do this and you'll make money. And that's that's what they do. They say anything and you get a bigger credit card. Okay. Now, last question. Would you want your bank to loan out your money to people who don't even promise to pay it back? This is lunacy because there never was a loan. It's your own money. They tricked you into paying every month and then using the money like you normally do in a checking account. You send the money in because you can't write checks on an empty bank account. So every month you send money to the bank, they deposit, they just now charge you interest if you don't pay enough. They charge you late fees. They even charge you to get your cash back. See that? Cash advance fee. What? It's your own money.
Yeah.
So they got you on the scam.
Yeah, and that's another thing. There's so many check cashing places or cash advances. They're everywhere. If you're in a bad side of town when you see a bunch of them. They're on like every corner. But and I know of very few people that use them. I'm like, really? I'm like, you are throwing money away. You're gonna borrow your own money for 20, 30, maybe even more of a percentage. I never understood that ever.
And what can you do? It's a currency dominated economy. And when you're in that kind of an economy, you have no morals and no values, because if you do have morals and values, you're at a disadvantage. It's the criminals make the money on this. And that's why I'm here in the Philippines doing what I'm doing, teaching farmers how to build dome houses, teach them vertical gardening, and opening up free medical clinics. And to finance this, that's why I wrote the book. It was published on Amazon. So that goes a long way here. So that's my whole idea, is to be in an agricultural dominant economy where morals and values do matter. So that's the life I want to live. That's the way I have been living on the farm all across the United States as I lived. But that's where you have your word has to mean something. You have to have some integrity. You say you're going to do something, you better do it. And if you don't, the whole town knows you don't, and they won't do business with you. And you can't survive without the maximum about 150. They found that 150 people together in a community is about the limit you can remember all the different deals you're making. So beyond that, it starts to break down.
Yeah. Wow. Before we wrap up the show, again, where they can find your book and where they can reach out to you.
This is Tommy A. Kilpatrick at Amazon. That's the only book written by a guy with my name. And so in the show notes, we'll have the links to check me out. And also there's the email. So give me a call. I offer a free 15-minute conversation, and we can help you out at any stages. You can be just all of a sudden going, wait a second, I'm not even owing any money, but I can see the writing on the wall. I'm going to be late. Can I do? Absolutely. That's the best place. You've been sued. Okay. You've already have a judgment against you. It's too late 6 months later. We can't undo it. I can still help you because there's ways of getting these things paid off that you have accrued in that debt. And then turn right around, get your score back up to then apply for a credit card now with knowledge that it's not a credit card, but you take the risk. So you know what the advantage is, but you also know the risk.
Heck yeah, there's a lot of risks. You live in a monetary based economy. There's all kinds of risks, especially nowadays.
Yep.
Yeah. Man, I usually close out my shows by asking our guests to give a takeaway for our audience today, some words of wisdom.
The best thing I can say is a mind is like a parachute. It only works when it's open. So I use that all the time. Just have people wake up a little bit and say, have you been lied to? Has it been generationally? And you are not in debt with a credit card, especially from a bank issue. Everything else, yeah, they got you. But in this particular case, there's a solution, and I'm your advocate.
Heck yeah. Yeah, more people need to know this. It's not just here in the U.S. It's everywhere. I'm sure
worldwide.
It's everywhere.
Different laws, different places you complain to, and different little bit of procedure, but still the banks are doing it worldwide. And you don't have to participate if you don't want to, and you can get out of this situation, and you can stop being a victim. You're a crime victim, and I'm your advocate.
Heck yeah, man, Tommy, I appreciate it, brother. Thank you. Thank you for what you do, and thank you for the words of wisdom that you shared with us today. And keep it up. Love it. Let us know when the next book comes out, and let us know what's happening over there, and if there's anything new that we need to know about.
People ask why they come here, and I say in their own language, Nagapangita sa asawa. I came here looking for a wife, but I also have written a book on how to speak a new language in 30 days, which is a very simple way, revolutionary new way to speak a new language. There's no syntax. You don't have to study grammar. You don't need to study a book. It's just things that you are interested in. You can easily learn those words. And when you start speaking that language, they love you. That you won't believe the faces I turn around when I'm actually speaking their language.
Yeah. Nice. Cool. Tommy, once again, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us, and you have a wonderful rest of the day. And everybody who's watching us, anybody who's watching and listening, thank you for tuning into the Seance Podcast on Conscious Radio Network. And until next time, we will see you next week.